my little party animals. Hiphiprenee here today with a brand new speed build for you, and today we are moving into Strangerville. It has been quite some time since we have done a build in Strangerville, but I was working on trying to, figure out what I wanted to do going forward with Hip Hip Rebuilds, which is the series where I am rebuilding every single world in The Sims. And I kind of wanted to take a step away from San Myshuno just for a little while. And by a little while, I mean like this morning. I didn't feel like doing an apartment this morning. I didn't feel like creating a sim this morning. And I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do as far as like the community lots in San Myshuno are concerned. So I figured, let's move on to Strangerville, and we'll go to Strangerville. We will build the library in Strangerville. So this is on the lot where the Strangerville Information Center used to be. And I figured I would kind of keep that idea because this lot, it really does feel like it's supposed to be a public building. There's a really big park behind it, and it's just very centrally located in the actual, world of Strangerville. So it kind of made sense to not have it be a residential lot. I didn't feel like putting a bar here, and I really did want to make sure that there was still a library or a museum of some kind. But I did go in here, and as I started building, I was like, wow, this lot is really small, which is not something that I usually complain about. You guys know me, and you know that I like my smaller lots. This is a 20 by 20 lot. But for something like a public building, like a library, I don't know, a 20 by 30 might have been a little bit better, but I do feel like I made it work pretty well. It is a very small building, and the inside, of course, is very small. There's not a lot of space in here, but I think it does work for the library. It's very nice and cozy, which is something that I feel like Strangerville, maybe it's not the most cozy place, but I do feel like the smaller library here, it does kind of work. So my idea here was this used to be a house. So I put it up in the gallery and said it was the house of the general of the Strangerville army at one point, and then it was refinished, repurposed to become a library. So we do, of course, have all of the essential library needs in here. There are a few bookshelves around. There are some computers upstairs, as well as some chess tables. And I had a lot of fun building this. The only thing that really bothered me about this lot is that on the slightly outside of this lot, you see that there's that little path there, and there's also one in the back. And for God knows what reason, it does not line up perfectly with the grid. I don't know why. It's really frustrating. I was having a really hard time trying to get, kind of the pathways in and out of this building to look good with the pathways that were leading up to this building. It was very frustrating. If you notice, it's not quite centered on the lot, and it's just ever so off center that it's really, really frustrating. So I tried to get to the point where I was like, okay, I'm going to ignore that these paths don't line up. I'm just going to pretend that they do, and it'll be fine. Everything will be okay. But I don't know why on earth they would create this and not just line up the path to perfectly match the grid. It makes no sense to me, but it is what it is. So, we're going to just let it happen. I probably could have done just terrain paint going in and out of the library and, made it look a little bit more centered, but I really did like the idea of kind of using a little bit of the same pathway that you find coming in from just outside the lot. So I did keep it. It is frustrating me. It's still bothering me looking at it right now, but it is what it is. So I did do 2 stories for this library, and I was originally going to do like a really big, not really big because it's a smaller lot, but my original plan was to do like a crazy brick building and, really make it look like a town hall / library / whatever else it is that you want. The city that I grew up in, the library is actually attached to the city hall, and I always thought that was really cool to just kind of have everything all in one place. Even the police station is right next door to the library / city hall / whatever else is in those buildings in the city that I grew up in, but there's just not enough space. There's just not enough space. And then I was really thinking about, Strangerville and what kind of buildings would be in Strangerville, and I thought having a little bit of a dirtier looking building might kind of make a little bit more sense for Strangerville. So I wanted to really make sure that I was, the exterior looks a little used, it looks a little dirty, and the inside is definitely not super updated. So, there's kind of some older looking wallpaper in here. There's a lot of browns in here, which is not a color that I typically work with. I usually like to go with the brighter whites. I just like them better for builds. I feel like they read better on screen, and I don't know, I just like them a little bit more, but it didn't make sense for this build to do something like that. So I wanted to keep with, this is a historical building, and it's older, so it should look a little older. And then I got in here and I was like, okay, it's a library. I need bookshelves, I need this, I need that. And I realized some of the windows were not exactly in a good place. So I did move around some of the windows. And I will say this is not the most extensive library. You go in and there's literally 4 bookshelves, but with spacing and everything like that, it kind of worked. So I feel like, this is more of an archive than a library. So it's not like you would go in here and, find the newest Nora Roberts book so you can go read it. It's a lot more historical. It's more, let's go in and learn about the history of Strangerville and things like that. So a lot of these books, I would assume you can't even check out of the library. I don't know if that's something that you guys have in your cities, but we definitely, in the city that I grew up in the big library, we absolutely have a lot of books that are reference only, so you can't actually physically take them out of the library. And that was kind of the idea that I was going with here. So I did do this nice little entryway, which of course has the desk for the librarian, who, when I was doing my screenshots, the librarian never actually showed up. And I don't know if it's because I went in and deleted all of the townies from this area, so it did kind of have to populate a few random people to come visit here. But the librarian never actually showed up. But she does have a desk. Maybe it's because I didn't put a computer on the desk. I didn't even think of that. I should probably go back in and stick a computer on there. I didn't even realize it, but there are enough computers in this build. I obviously made sure that all of the requirements to have a library were met, so this is completely functional, so don't worry about that if you want to play in this. It is on the gallery, available for download under my username, which is hiphiprenee, just like it is spelled here. But I think this entryway is super cute. I ended up doing the kind of the wanted posters over on the side over here. I feel like this area or this building, is kind of the only government related building in Strangerville. So it did make sense to, show off who is, wanted for being arrested for God knows whatever it is that they did. I don't even know what you can do in The Sims to get you arrested. I guess they were kicking over too many trash barrels in Strangerville is probably what was happening. But then over in the little library kind of nooks, I did stick in a few tables, and there's just some books and some homework and some open notebooks on those. So I thought that was a nice area for maybe some of the kids or the teenagers of Strangerville to come in and be able to do their homework. I would kind of hope that in somewhere like Strangerville, where they seem to have a pretty rich history, that there would be some semblance of, local history being taught in the school. So that would be a really cute place for your kids to be able to come in and do their homework. And then we move upstairs, and the upstairs is of course the computer area. So I did make sure that there were 2 computers. I put a couple bookshelves up here, just kind of as like a little overflow from downstairs. Maybe people are bringing books upstairs to work on writing a paper or whatever it is, and instead of having to return them to the actual bookshelves, they can just kind of stick them on these little ones, and the librarians will deal with it at the end of the day. And then I have these little areas right behind the stairs that I just put a few decorations on, nothing super crazy. I did have a little bit of a time trying to figure out what curtains to put on those back windows. Unfortunately, the curtains that I used for the rest of the build, they just didn't have anything that was the same size, that was also the same color. But I did end up figuring it out in the end, and I finally got the chess tables in, which is the last piece of the puzzle you need for a library. And then we're heading right into the screenshots here. So I really do hope that you guys enjoyed this build. I hope you are enjoying this series. You will absolutely be seeing more of it coming up soon, so keep your eyes open. Make sure that you have your notifications turned on so you don't miss a single thing. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up down below. I would really appreciate it. And if you're new here or you're not new here and you're not subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell so you get notifications. Don't miss a single video. I will see you guys on Wednesday with another speed build. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.